Confederate statues were removed overnight in the city of Baltimore. The push to remove Confederate statues has spread throughout the country to a number of states. RT correspondent Ashley Banks has more on that tonight.
The sound of heavy machinery rung out between 11:30 p.m. and 5:30 this morning in Baltimore as contractors loaded and hauled Confederate statues away from their post. In attendance was Baltimore Mayor Catherine Pugh, who watched as each Confederate statue was removed. Pugh said the removal of the statues was unannounced in order to prevent a violent confrontation.
I thought that there's enough grandstanding, enough speeches being made, get it done. I spoke with the council on Monday morning. I spoke with the president of the city council. I said, with the climate of this nation, that I think it's very important that we move quickly and quietly. I also submitted that to the entire body of the city council and said, we're going to be moving quickly, quietly to get this done. And so that's what I did. 11:30, 11 o'clock last night, gathered, and we moved the statues.
Earlier this week, the Baltimore City Council unanimously passed a resolution to remove the statues. It is happening amid national conversation after the deadly attack in Charlottesville during a white supremacist rally. According to local media reports on Wednesday, a group of protesters pledged to remove the Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson monuments themselves if the city wasn't going to do it. Monday afternoon in Durham, North Carolina, protesters climbed the statue of a Confederate soldier, toppling it during an anti-racist rally. Take a look at some of the protesters' reactions.
I honestly like the way that they did it rather than the government coming and taking it down, because that showed that we're the people of Durham and we don't like that this statue is put here, It says the Confederate States of America. Yeah, that's a part of history. Yeah, this was a Confederate state back then, but that's changing.
This statue has struck me as out of place in Durham for some time. And while I was surprised to see the news footage last night, it seemed right.
Citizens in Lexington, Kentucky and Gainesville, Florida are asking for Confederate statues to be removed. And in Brooklyn, New York, Confederate symbols will be removed as well. At this time, the city of Baltimore is still deciding on what should be done to the statues. Pugh suggested they may be relocated to Confederate cemeteries elsewhere. Some residents say they are happy with the removal of the statues, but argue racism and white privilege run deeper than the presence of Confederate statues. In Washington, Ashley Banks, RT.
For more on this, we go to our political panel tonight. This evening, we have Mitch Caesar, former Democratic Party chair of the state of Florida, and also Amy Tarkanian, former Nevada GOP party chair. Great to have both of you with us tonight. Mitch, I'll start with you, seeing you're from Florida, and there are Confederate statues in the state of Florida. You heard in Ashley's report that the city of Gainesville is thinking about removing some statues. Is this important to remove Confederate monuments? And if it's necessary, why?
It is very important, Ed. And in fact, in this county, Broward County, we're in South Florida, there is an issue coming up in the next 2 weeks, not to remove statues, but to remove the names of streets in the city of Hollywood, Florida, that are named after Confederate folks. Specifically, there's a street named after the head of the Ku Klux Klan in Florida. The city commission has already indicated a willingness to do it. There'll be a final hearing on that in a few weeks, actually, which I will be at. Most specifically, this is a big issue because it is part of the South. And I think this is part of the growing trend. Look, the alt-right and the neo-Nazis and all these other groups already said they're going to be in Boston and doing other tours around the country. This is a very serious issue in our history, and I think Florida, like anything else, is always part of the national conversation. So, yes.
Let's turn to Donald Trump's issues now, Amy. He said today that he has no regrets for his comments about Charlottesville. Has Trump defined his presidency to the point of no return?
I don't believe so. And not only did the president make a very strong and bold statement and a very honest statement multiple times, but he also had the vice president's backing. He had the RNC also come out and say multiple times that what the president had said was honest, it was truthful. I don't think that this has defined his presidency. I think that what the left-wing media would like to do, and the elite leftists, and even some of the elite establishment of the Republican Party who want to see him fail, they would like to make this the definition for his presidency.
Mitch McConnell's not the left-wing media, and neither is Paul Ryan, and neither is Governor John Kasich.
No, but they are part of the establishment.
Well, there are also Republicans that, you know, go to conventions and supported Donald Trump, and it seems like, or I guess my question to you is, do you think
I don't think they've ever
the
been 100% on board.
Well, he got the nomination, and he won a bunch of states. He won the Electoral College. You can't deny that. The point I'm trying to make here is, do you think the president's support is starting to wane among Republicans?
Not the Republicans that I talked to, the Republicans that actually supported the president from day one, the Republicans that supported him as the nominee, the Republicans such as myself who were delegates at the convention. We have not wavered. Now, he does have his own style. I will give him that maybe makes some people nervous, and we don't exactly mirror. But once again, this is a narrative that's being pushed to destroy the president that I don't agree with.
Well, one of the people very close to the president is Steve Bannon, and he gave an interview tonight saying that the alt-right is a bunch of clowns. This is quite a reversal from running Breitbart. Mitch, is this a political opening for the Democrats?
We have to see if it is. You know, Breitbart or Steve Bannon, alt-right, they're all kind of the same thing. This might be actually part of the Donald Trump shiny object theory he's used for the last 2 years. You know, here, watch this hand, but something's going on over here. I don't really buy that. You know, it's interesting that the folks from the business community all stepped off the Trump train as a group. They had an earlier morning conference, decided to do it not individually, as a group. They've been willing and have done things that the Republican leadership has been unwilling at large and generally to do. And that is say this is wrong, and we're going to show it's wrong. So they've actually been more gutsy and said, we wanted to join this group by saying we wanted to do something that shared our values, American values. And clearly, by resigning, they said this president does not share them.
Amy, what about your state of Nevada? How do you think this is going to play with citizens there who supported Donald Trump?
They still support Donald Trump. They still support him. And the fact that we're not talking about the fact that he held a press conference yesterday on infrastructure that I think most Americans would agree with. It's a nonpartisan issue. Who wouldn't be excited about streamlining projects at a quicker pace so that way we can get more accomplished here in the United States on our highways and roads? I got to ask you,
Amy. Amy, I have to ask you, do you really think the president came out yesterday to talk about infrastructure? I mean, it seemed to me as an observer, he came out loaded for bear to take on the media, to try to set the record straight, and he's created a real political quagmire for himself. What about that?
No, he did come out to speak solely on infrastructure, and I found it incredibly rude of the press in the way that they handled the entire press conference. They interrupted him constantly. When it was time for questions, he asked for questions specifically on infrastructure. The very first one out of the gate had nothing to do with it, had to deal with a CEO situation. Then the next one, I believe, even had to deal with Charlottesville, and it was just one antagonistic question after the next.
Okay. Will Trump blaming the media, will that dog hunt Mitch? I mean, he's making the media the target. Will his supporters buy that rationale?
I think his supporters will, but I think that around the edges, you know, there are a lot of folks, there were a lot of focus groups even that exist now, where they pick people who voted both times for Barack Obama and this time voted for Trump. It's the same type of hunger issue, really. I think around the edges, that's where he's going to lose people. Among Republican Party stalwarts, you have to see how far below 80% that number dips. But he's lost literally all the independents. So the diehards never, but everybody else, it's beginning to crack a little bit.
Mitch Caesar, Amy Tarkanian, great to have both of you with us tonight. I appreciate your time. Thank you.